Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls. Welcome to today's video. My name is Bigak Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to continue on with the Luke series. This is Luke 19 through 23. This is going to be the crucifixion of Jesus. And I believe that the next and final video is Luke 24. And that's going to be about the resurrection of Jesus. Muslims don't believe that Jesus did a resurrection. We also don't believe that he was crucified, so this might get a little bit juicy as I disagree with some of it, but it's awesome to see it, awesome to understand, and we're gonna hop right into it, see what happens. Tell me, Luke.
So we're walking through the Gospel of Luke, and we've reached the end of Jesus' long road trip to Jerusalem. He's arrived.
So he rides a donkey down the Mount of Olives towards the city, and all these crowds are forming, and people are singing.
If you guys missed any of the previous videos or series of the Luke series, you can go ahead and check them down below as well.
Praise the King who comes in the name of the Lord. They're laying down their cloaks in front of him.
Why all this royal treatment?
Okay, so Israel's ancient prophets promised that one day God himself would arrive and rescue his people and rule the world. Other times, the prophet spoke about a coming king who would ride into Jerusalem to bring justice and peace.
So Jesus is activating all these hopes that he's that king, and everyone's ecstatic.
Well, not everybody. The religious leaders, they think Jesus is a threat to their power, and so they're not happy. But even more striking, Jesus himself is distraught. He's actually weeping as he rides.
Yeah, why?
Well, Jesus can see what is coming. He knows that he won't be accepted as Israel's king, and he knows that Israel will keep going down a destructive path, neglecting the poor, stirring up rebellion against their Roman oppressors, and he knows that it will lead to death. It breaks his heart.
And it riles him up. The first thing he does in Jerusalem is march into the temple courts, and he drives out the money changers, disrupting the entire sacrificial system.
Yeah, he's staging a prophetic protest, and he stands in the center of the courtyard, shouting out words from Israel's ancient prophets. This is supposed to be a place of worship, but you've made it a den of rebels.
A den of rebels?
Yeah, he's quoting from the prophet Jeremiah, who stood in this same spot, the center of Israel's religious and political power. And he offered the same critique of Israel's leaders, that they're rebellious and corrupt.
And they get the message.
Do you see how I was saying, I believe it was the previous video, I was talking about how the prophets before had the same issue as they wanted to kick these prophets out. They wanted to get rid of them because these prophets came and preached God, and the people who are already in power, who are rich and powerful and control this land, they didn't want these prophets. They tried to get rid of every single one of them. They tried to abolish every single one of them, lie upon their names, do all types of things to get rid of these prophets. But God protects his prophets and God protects his message. So,
and start to plan to have him killed.
Which is no surprise to Jesus. In fact, he planned that all of this would happen during Passover.
This is the Holy Week when Jewish people celebrate their ancient story of how God liberated them from slavery and invited them into a covenant relationship.
And so Jesus uses the symbols of Passover to reveal the meaning of his coming death. The broken bread was his broken body, and the wine was his blood that would establish a new covenant relationship between God and Israel. Jesus was going to die for his people and open up a new way forward.
After the meal, Jesus takes his disciples to a garden to pray.
And he struggles with the very human desire to save his life instead of sacrificing it, but he overcomes this temptation.
And it's here where the religious leaders, with the temple guards, find him and arrest him.
Now, Jerusalem was being ruled by the Roman Empire, and so the temple leaders couldn't execute Jesus without permission from their Roman governor, a man named Pontius Pilate. And so they make up this charge that Jesus is a rebel king stirring up revolution against the Roman emperor.
Pilate asks Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?"
And Jesus answers, "You say so."
So Pilate can see that Jesus is an innocent man and he doesn't deserve death.
But the leaders keep insisting that he is dangerous, so they negotiate a compromise. Pilate will release an actual rebel against Rome, a man named Barabbas, instead of Jesus. And so the innocent is handed over in the place of the guilty.
Jesus is taken away with two other accused criminals.
I'll never understand this concept in Christianity, and I don't know why it keeps happening. It always happens. Why is the innocent have to keep paying for the guilty in Christianity? It doesn't make any sense. Like, for instance, Jesus died for your sins. Jesus is innocent, Jesus is pure, Jesus is sinless. Why did a sinless, innocent man have to die and suffer so this guy can go rape women and can commit harsh crimes and steal and rob and kill and do all these things? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would Jesus go to jail when that king, the king of Rome, saw, oh, this guy's innocent? Why would he go, okay, here's the deal. We'll release a non-innocent man that hates Rome, and we'll take Jesus. It just doesn't add up to me. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. Like, when people say, oh, life's not fair, no, this is not fair. This doesn't even make, like, logical sense. Like, from God's perspective, why would God sacrifice innocence for someone who's doing unjust, sinful things? Why would he release someone who's sinful and allow them to sin, allow them to do these bad things, and allow them to commit bad acts, and then get rid of the one that doesn't commit these acts, punish the one that is following him, right? And then he's going to use that as an example for people. So what are people going to do? People aren't going to do the right thing. People are going to do the wrong thing. They think, okay, if I sin and I do these wrong things, then someone who's innocent will just pay for what I do, right? That's how it sounds to me. Like, if I go do all these bad things, my mom's an innocent person, my mom can pay for it. My mom could deal with it. Let my mom deal with it, right? If I have two sons, I have one son that's committing crimes and one son that's always home and he's praying and he's taking care of the house and his mother. And my one son kills someone, goes to court, is going to go to jail. And they're like, you know what? You're guilty. You killed two men. You need to go to jail for 25 to life. But we're going to send your brother instead because your brother is a good person. He sits at home. He takes care of his family. You know, he has a good job. He has a good brain on his head. He prays. He believes in God. We're going to throw your brother in jail instead, right? And you just get to walk free. Go continue to kill people, right? So it doesn't make any logical sense for an all-loving God of Christianity to do things like this. It doesn't add up. It doesn't comprehend. It doesn't make sense. And it doesn't really pull me closer to the religion of Christianity. It kind of more or less pushes me further away. Though,
and nailed to a Roman execution device. And people are mocking him. Hey, if you're the Messianic king, save yourself and us.
But Jesus loved his enemies to the very end, offering hope to one of the criminals dying beside him, and he even prayed for his executors. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
And again, Jesus is always talking to Father, 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 forgive me, Father, forgive them, Father, Father, which also separates Jesus from the Father, which makes Jesus a prophet, like he's been saying the whole time, not Jesus is God. There's a separation between them. Their nature is separate. When Jesus speaks, he separates them. When the Father speaks, he separates them. So that's also an issue that I have with a lot of people who are Christian and Christianity, is they claim Jesus is God, and I disagree with that. Now, I could agree with Christianity a lot more if we say Jesus is a prophet sent by God. You know, I could agree with the basis a lot more. And Christianity as a whole, there's a lot in it that makes complete sense, that follows the exact history. And there's a lot that just contradicts itself.
And then the sky darkened.
It's hard for me to...
As an innocent man died the death of a rebel.
It's comprehended.
And then Jesus cried out with ancient words from Israel's Psalms, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And then Jesus died, innocent and alone.
Okay. So that is the crucifixion of Jesus, Luke 19 through 23. There is one more video. It is Luke 24, and I believe that has to do with the resurrection of Jesus. Again, Muslims don't believe that Jesus was crucified or resurrected. We believe that Jesus is still alive and God has lifted him and protected him until the final days, where he will return, the Messiah, to defeat the Antichrist and bring peace back to earth. So we do believe in Jesus. We do believe in the story of Jesus, but we don't believe he was crucified. In the Quran, it says that it appeared to them that he was crucified, meaning that it could have been somebody else. It could have been Jesus up on the cross. He just didn't die. He was, and God protected him. There's a lot of different interpretations to this verse over in the Quran, but we know God tells us Jesus wasn't crucified. I protected him. He'll come back later on. But it appeared to be that he was crucified. So the story that we have, Jesus was crucified, it's not like Muslims are like, oh, it just never happened. Something was crucified. It appeared that Jesus was crucified, or we wouldn't think Jesus was crucified. There wouldn't be stories and witnesses that Jesus was crucified if it didn't appear so, which means something happened that made people think Jesus was crucified, but he wasn't actually crucified. So that is from the Islamic perspective. Can't wait to get into the next one. I like these animations. Really, really awesome. They explain the story very, very well. And we're going to figure out how Luke closes off his story with Jesus in the next video. If you guys liked it, leave a like. Leave your comments down below on what you think. And subscribe so you never see it, and so you never miss another video. If you guys want to see the other parts, future parts, or previous parts, go ahead and check the description. And peace out.